Hello! Today I'd like to show to you how to stitch in a sleeve in a dress. There's always two different possibilities of stitching a sleeve in a dress, in a coat, wherever you need one in. So I show you. The easy way to do this, if you have a pattern and the side seam of your item and the seam from your sleeve are in the same position, because sometimes this seam is put farther forward, but as you can see on this dress it is the same. So what you could have done here is not to close the side seam of the dress, neither the seam from the sleeve. You would have this lying open, and in the open part you would stitch the sleeve in and then close this seam in one go. But that is a very easy way, of course, but it's not the traditional. The traditional way really is to first close the side, close the sleeve as well, and then stitch the sleeve in. And as well, this sleeve, if you put it in this way, it always lies and folds much better. So if possible, if you're a little firm with it, you should always choose this way to stitch the sleeve, not in the open way in the closed way in. So you're stitching it once all the way around. When you start stitching it in, you should always start on the bottom. Never start anywhere in between or on the top, because on any start you could get a little wrinkle in your seam, and that would always show. As an example, if you would start here, you would have a funny twitch there or something that we don't want. And it is the correct way anyway, always to start underneath the arm to stitch this sleeve in. So if you're not firm with it yet, just hold your briefly this together first, take the top of your sleeve and have a look, because that's how you like to put it in. The next very important thing is, if you have a pattern that you maybe bought, you will always find in the pattern there is marks in for some marking parts where you will have to put a little cut in. This cut will be exactly on the opposite side to where you have to put it into the dress. These little cuts are so important, these marks. Do not forget them, because the more you have for a sleeve, the better. Especially if it always depends on the construction of the sleeve. The more width you have in the top, the more little cut in you need to get it in perfectly for a beautiful fit at the end. So what you can do now is, if you like to pin it first, you can pin from this left side, which you can turn around. There's a moment, I got everything on the proper side already. Now you can pin yourself the first pin here, and then go from cut to cut that you will have and put a little pin in. But you can also do it the way I'm going to show it to you. Stitch it in one go without any needles. One other trick you can try, if you have a sleeve with an awful lot of width on the top, depending on how round the construction of the sleeve is, you can put two seams in the area where the width is. You would put the first seam starting where the roundabout is from this sleeve, about 7 millimeters away from the edge. Leave some threads hanging. The same on 11 millimeters. So you would have two seams from here to there, parallel to each other, which you then can slightly, the threads, pull in to put your width exactly in where you need it there. Then when you stitch it in, you will stitch exactly between those two seams that you have. Yes, when you're finished with it, one seam, the 11 millimeter one, will be shown here, but that doesn't matter, as it's a very loose thread. You can pull it out, that then you have already your widths evenly put in. But I'm not going to do this either. I'm just going to stitch this in now, starting from the bottom all the way around. And one more important thing, last one, is no matter which sleeve you stitch into a coat, dress, blouse, whatever, you always stitch on the sleeve, and the actual dress is lying on the bottom. That means when I take this now to the machine, that's where I want to start. I put my two seams together, I turn this around, and here's my sleeve, and that's where I'm going to start sewing right now. I repeat, I put the seam, the side seam from the dress together with the underneath seam from the sleeve. I turn this around, and I got my sleeve on the top and the dresses on the bottom. I put those seams exactly on top of each other, and the usual is 1 centimeter. Also, when you do a cutting for a new dress or coat, think about it, especially on colors and sleeves, you should have a 1 centimeter seam cut on and not more, because that doesn't make it fall very nice. So on this bottom part, the first part, you see the dress, the cutout, likes to lie this way. I will leave it like that, because it's no good to try now to stitch this sleeve in stretched out like this, because you automatically then tend to stretch out the part from the dress. That we don't want to do. So I leave it lying the way it wants to be there on its own, and I look for my first cuts, put them on top of each other, because on the bottom, underneath the arm, both parts like to lie like this, as you can see. There's a little bit of width, but it really stretches into this part in, the way I'm holding it. And this is the very best to do it. And now I'm like gonna stitch in a curve into this. Slowly, bit by bit, I turn it towards the machine till I get to my first cuts that I have there. Always think about the width of your 1 centimeter that you got your pattern light on. Here's my next seam. Now here it changes a bit. You can see it's not going this way anymore, because we're going up on the sleeve. But here, if I couldn't lie it the same way on top of each other, it wants to turn away. So if I put this onto the next cut, you see it wants to stand over there, because here is already some width in this. And the easiest to get the width in is to now hold it there on your cut, but at the same time now pull this top towards the edges, so edge on edge lies together. Now you can see the width is here. Sometimes on some of these sleeves you have this feeling you need more than 4 or 5 fingers on one hand, but that's the only amount we got, so we got to deal with this. So pull this back, you see here the width lying nicely, but because of that you're holding it so firm and so nicely in without stretching the bottom of the dress apart, because that is very, very important. You can easily stretch the dress out, and that should never happen. You always got to put the width in, not stretch the other underneath out. So we get to the next point. Now you see it's getting even more up here. I got my cut here, my little cut, I got my seam there, and now you can see this is really going over there. But I'm going to be doing exactly the same. I have to pull this back, so these two edges are lying really next to each other. So there is my cut on there. Here's all the widths that I have in this sleeve. And evenly, bit by bit, I will pull this back and stitch. You can see how I'm pulling it back here. That is the easiest way to get all the widths in that part in. As you can see, here's my little cut, and I'm on my seam there already. No problem. And I'll look to my next one. Here it's getting less again. Also some widths, but not as much as on that last part that I had. And I do exactly the same. I'm pulling this back and you see all the widths lying there nicely. And because of this way, the way when you hold it with as many fingers as you got, you can see that it evenly can be stitched in without any problem. See? Exactly, cut on cut. Now on this last bit, I don't have any cuts more, but that is no problem because there's only a little bit of width in there. So I'm lying the bottom down flat, and I hold this loose, always loose, and I just let the machine take it in for me. I'm practically at the end, as you can see. Again, edge on edge, always to make sure you have on both materials, on the dress and on the sleeve, your 1 centimeter seam. And here we get to the end already. Stitch over a bit and fasten it. And now we look at the result. Very important, try to have this seam without any funny buckles in. That means when you want to lift the foot for pushing some of the widths underneath, make sure the needle is in the material. Otherwise you like to pull it and then you get funny bits and bats in. So, and now we look at the sleeve. I put a cushion under so you see it better. There you go. You see this sleeve evenly stitched in all the way around. Now all I can hope that you enjoyed this little video, that you will try to do it yourself. Needs a little cushion maybe inside because of this special design that I got here on this dress. Yeah, I would say do it, try it, and enjoy doing some nice stitching. Thank you for watching. Until next time. Tschüss.